Welcome to another edition of Startup Parable. As most of you all know by now, Startup Parable is an initiative by Microimage together with ReadMe Tech Magazine towards inspiring the next generation of entrepreneurs. Also, we are going to use Startup Parable as a platform to feature all these innovative startups and bring them to limelight. Now, over the past few weeks, we featured Dawn Patrol Games, the cutting-edge gaming startup, and also Yamu, the digital lifestyle magazine. I hope all of you enjoyed that. Now, today we are in Kohuvada and in a very interesting place. It's a 3D printing hub, I would say, and we are going to talk to Nisanga and the journey behind his 3D printing, 3D concept studio. Now, Nisanga is someone whom I got acquainted through Sri Lankan Chamber of Commerce a couple of months ago, not months ago actually, more than a year ago, when he was working for one of the largest apparel manufacturer. And he was involved in coordinating and planning one of the projects related to Sri Lankan Chamber. So after a while, I got to know that he started this concept studio and started this new journey. But he's someone who doesn't come from the tech industry or rather the IT industry. So we need to know who is this Nisanga Varnapura truly is. Nisanga, welcome to the program. Please share with all of us, who is Nisanga Varnapura?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Harsha, for having me today on Startup Parable. And so I'd like to answer that question by just giving a brief background as to how this came to be without me being in the IT industry as such.
Now, before that, I would like to know, where did you initially start? After your school, what did you do in school? After that, did you do any studies or straight away went to corporate?
Okay.
How did it all start?
So that background is pretty much, I went to CIS, and then after CIS, I went to University of Nottingham,
right,
where I studied electrical and electronic engineering with management. And I found that very interesting. I mean, there's a lot of, my final project was on noise cancellation, DSPs, things like that, and I found that interesting to a certain level. And straight after university, in 2007, I came back and within 2 weeks I started working for MAS as a management trainee.
Right.
And I'm very, very proud of MAS, and I have to say that because everyone who knows me, they say, you're in love with MAS. And that is simply because I feel MAS was my form of an MBA, because I had a choice. I could have finished my degree and done a master's in engineering at that time, I was thinking, or come back and start working. And at that time I was thinking, okay, study, interesting about studying. And then I just wanted to see what is this work about. So I came back and started working at MAS. So as part of the MAS training, as a management trainee, the very first placement is to Pandala. So we went to Slimline, and they train you on from even sewing a garment to even understanding the process, understanding that it's not only machinery but also the human factor. And at the same time, even a simple thing as a sewing machine, and I call it simple now because in comparison to robotics, sewing machine is probably like a very first year kind of machine. And there's so much of technical upgrades that take place to these machines for sewing a simple thing like a garment.
Okay.
So that agile aspect of how even a sewing machine is upgraded to get a different type of product gave me the foresight on understanding that processes can be improved together with technology. So then I started having a passion towards process and technology, and then seeing this come together where there are technologies that can help the process get better and better and better.
So did you all have, did mass process any 3D printers at that time?
Not at that time.
Or even laser cutters or anything like that?
Laser cutters, yes. I mean, one of the first machines that I saw which really got my mind ablaze was when I first saw this Gerber laser cutter, which was this crazy thing out of this space, like out of the world kind of thing, where it is this large automated laser cutting machine. And seeing a machine like that, I started saying, technology can do so much from machinery, and that has helped cut fabrics faster in multiple plies and get so many things done for the apparel industry.
Right.
And that's when you start thinking apparel industry is growing, and IT industry is growing, and then the gap was so visible on engineers who are, let's say, non-IT related. So let's say mech engineers and electrical engineers, what's going to boost that industry? And that was a huge gap in the conversion.
Right.
How do they get past that first hurdle of whether my concept is actually working or not?
So I think MAs has really influenced to start this venture. But what's the true story behind this venture? How did this all came about?
So they always say like when you come up with a business idea, sometimes it always brews in the background, and there's sometimes a situation which kind of kickstarts that. Okay, so I used to play basketball in school, and then I continued to play basketball, and so this idea has been brewing. I wanted to get into fabrication. That was the thing I wanted to get into.
Right.
And then we played a basketball tournament a couple of years back, a Carlton tournament.
Right.
And together with a bunch of friends.
Mm-hmm.
And towards the last couple of matches, I had an injury, so I was kind of in bed for a long time.
Right.
Because I broke my ankle.
Okay.
And then during that time, I was just thinking, okay, I have nothing to do because I'm just pretty much sitting and waiting, and I have a lot of energy because I always want to do something.
Yeah.
And I thought a perfect opportunity. Got my laptop, and I went and found this do-it-yourself kind of assembling machine, and I thought, okay, I'm going to get it done. Let's take the risk.
What made you search 3D printing?
So I started searching fabrication,
Right.
fabrication machines,
Mm-hmm.
and I've heard about this technology. It's a technology that has been there for a long time, but the pricing of do-it-yourself machines and things like that, like a hobby craft, has come down significantly at that time. So I thought, okay, let's give it a try because I have nothing to do now.
Yeah.
I need a hobby.
Right.
So that's when I first placed this order.
Right.
And the machine came.
How old were you at that time?
No, I mean this is just a couple of years back now. So this is early 2013.
Right. 21.
So I'm 29 this year.
Right.
So 27.
Right.
Okay. So I got this machine down, and it was kind of difficult at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But once I got it going, I was thinking, wait a minute, this is not that difficult.
Right.
This is actually good.
Right.
And in a way, I'm very thankful for that moment.
Who gave money for that?
So I had some money saved from my work at MS.
Right.
So then I thought I'll go ahead and kind of buy that machine. And by the way, this is just a home machine. This is very basic, one of the most basic machines.
From where did you order this?
So I got this from Amazon.
Amazon.
Amazon, and I went to Amazon and I found this machine that I thought could do it all. So obviously I researched, the different types of machines, different costs, and also build volumes and those kind of, now which has become a constant lingo for us.
Right.
On the type of platforms and all sorts of things. And understood that if I really want to get into it, I should understand this technology inside out.
Right.
And that first machine, I'm thankful that broke many times. I mean, it didn't work the way I wanted it. And that has given me a very good understanding as to how machines work. Mm-hmm. Even now that we're dealing with much more advanced machines, the fundamental stays the same.
Right.
So for me, I'm very thankful for that moment.
Right.
Where I took that chance, took that leap, and I think that's a message I really want to send out, that a lot of people who work, and they can be very comfortable, they can be very conservative as well, but if you want to take that leap into an area that you want to service somebody else in, you should know the product that you're just about to take a leap with.
Right.
And that's a chance I took.
Right.
And to this day, I'm very thankful for that. Yeah.
Right. So we play around with this printer.
Correct.
Then how did 3D Concept Studio came about?
Correct. So what I did was I felt at the beginning starting a company was not going to be my primary goal until I really figured out how the machine works and whether I can actually start using this machine to commercially sell something.
Right.
So I remembered my first approach was my family and saying, you could create this and create that, and my parents didn't really gauge it. They didn't really understand the concept of 3D printing as such.
Right.
2D surface, they didn't understand. But so then a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine, he said, "Can you print a paperweight for me?" Which is kind of interesting because it's not really what 3D printing is all about, but at the same time, they're thinking, how can you create something? So I created this for him, and he was just in shock. He said, a lot of people said they can't create this when he went to the normal conventional vendors, but you created it out of an image I gave you. So he was able to give me that message, and then I realized now this has potential. And even after that, I catered to many more friends who gave me good feedback, bad feedback, and kind of strengthened me up a bit more. And then when I understood it has commercial viability, I realized, okay, now I need to start, properly, like register a company and do it in the official way that it should be done.
Right. So there wasn't any other 3D printing.
There was, so at that time, University of Moratuwa, they had a 3D printer from a couple of years back, which was like an industrial type, but the process was so cumbersome. I mean, we work very closely with University of Moratuwa. Now we signed an MOU with them as well, and I'm very close to University of Moratuwa. But at that time, that was the only facility available for anybody who wants to go and fabricate something.
Right.
So my thing was, I always feel, and I always tell everyone at 3D Concept Studio as well, that when a customer walks in, we should be able to help them and make it convenient for them to convert the idea.
Right.
It shouldn't be something that takes a long time or is very technical, because they just have an idea and they want it converted.
Right.
So that is what I felt I can offer. So technology is one, anybody can bring a 3D printer, but how can we help them go through that cycle of getting that idea into a 2D or 3D design and into fabrication and then post-finishing and then giving back to them in that short span.
Yeah. The whole process.
The whole process. So we are actually technically termed rapid prototyping.
Right.
At a rapid turnaround. So that's the concept here.
So I'll get into that later in a quite a detailed fashion. So when you started, who were your co-founders? You started by your own, or you had some others?
So I started by myself. Me on the bed with that printer on my side, I call that my founding time.
Right.
Because that's when I really got to know how the machine works and everything. And after that, it grew to about 3 machines, and then eventually about 9 machines.
Right. And still you didn't have the company.
Still no I didn't. I only had the company when I had about 6 machines.
Right.
So I started with 1 machine in my room.
Right.
And then my parents were not too happy because it was the 3D printers have a very strong fume.
Right.
And my girlfriend, she was like, who's my wife now? She said, if you're
I'm not going to get married to you.
I might not even think of getting married to you if you're going to continue keeping that in your room, because that's really bad for you. So I said, okay. So my mother decided to give me a little space downstairs in a little room where I could put about 3 machines.
Right.
And that's when I started servicing certain clients, and it was constantly in use. So I used to go to work in the morning, come back at about 6 o'clock and work till about 1, 2 in the morning.
Oh.
So that was my evening shift, as I would call it, but I would be more excited, not that I was bored anyway, Saturday, but I would be more excited to come back in the evening and work on these machines.
Right.
I was like, I felt like a crazy scientist.
Right.
And something that I would say that I'm very committed about is when you know about everything that you're converting inside out,
right,
you feel very passionate about it.
Right.
You're not on the surface level.
Right.
For me, I feel like I've gone into the machine. I understand every single nut and bolt on how this works.
You see things very
because they break all the time.
Yeah.
They break all the time, and then we've gone to the extent of even understanding how to even replace the electronic boards on it, even change complete parts on it. So that was a great thing for me as well.
So you started on your own, or you had a co-founder, or you had a partner?
I started on my own.
Right.
And then it went up to 3 machines, 6 machines.
Okay.
And
I'm talking about in terms of people. Like when you started your company, was it you the only person, or you had another partner, or how did you start?
So basically, it started by myself. So the company was fully owned by me. It's one company.
Right. It was not a private company. Limited liability, private limited. It was just a
it was single
proprietary company.
Proprietary company. And then after that, so after we got to a certain size, we kind of got funding from shareholders,
right,
and we grew it.
Yeah. Now I want to come to that. Now, this kind of a business is very capital intensive.
It is. Yeah.
How did you find the capital?
Correct.
Finance these initial machines?
So what happened is, to get the momentum going, the first couple of machines didn't cost a lot of money.
Right.
It was actually some money that I was able to put in.
Right. Roughly about $5,000, $5,000.
It didn't even cost so much. So what I did was through Amazon, I found certain suppliers. Some were new machines and some were used machines, and I spent less than $1,000 on a machine.
Right.
And that's when I started working with these machines, understanding what I could do.
Right.
Then when I got to about 3 machines, I realized, okay, now that's still a lot of money. Then after this, I didn't want to buy that same machine. I realized now I need to bump my grade, because the quality of the product is definitely part and parcel of the machine as well. So then the machines that I was looking at were close to about $5,000.
Right.
And then I thought, okay, now this capital that I really want to put in is something that one, A, I don't have, and B, I'll need to get not only capital now, I need to get mentorship on growth of company.
Yes.
That's when I approached a few key people
Right.
in business,
Right.
and I told them this is my idea, this is what I think it can become, and we got 3 shareholders,
Right.
who said, okay, I think the concept is going to work. How much do you need? You know, that was the motivation and the positiveness that I got from pitching this idea,
Right.
which I was so passionate about
Right.
myself. And then at that time,
So you got 3 shareholders.
correct.
So how did you work out the equity?
So the equity is something that they proposed. Right now we are a 60-40 company.
Right.
60-40 company. So the 40 is actually split among 3 shareholders.
Right.
And the shareholders,
60% comes to.
60 is mine. 40% is split among 3 shareholders,
Right.
who constantly meet with me, and I like it like that. We
They
even
came to the board as well?
have 2 of them have come to the board,
2 of them.
because it's 40%, so they've got
Right.
2 board seats.
Right.
And at the same time, like, I love their feedback.
Right.
I love their feedback.
Right. So you were okay to give away 40%.
I know a lot of
You
people.
were not very concerned about, oh my god, I'm giving like 40% of my company.
Correct.
You were not bothered about that.
No, because what I realized is, I mean, a lot of people told me try to sell 10%, 15%, and I guess this is good to discuss this because I want entrepreneurs to know this as well. For me, I had a goal. So my goal, and that goal is always changing. But I knew exactly how much I needed to get what I want. And it was really a capex game here, because 3D printing is very capex intensive. But I knew when I get these machines, this is what I can do. So for me, it was not about the 10-15%, but I realized it is round 1.
Right.
And at the same time, if I don't get past my first hurdle, it's pretty much, I can't produce better products, I can't produce fast products, I can't offer multi-material, I can't offer multi-color. So therefore, it's pretty much, if you don't go to the best as fast as you can, then why are we lingering on, is the question that I had.
Right.
So that's what I determined by saying I don't want to sell 10%, I'm willing to sell 40%.
40%.
Yeah. So that was my justification.
So tell me, Nisanga, when you started off, how do you reach out to people? How do you market yourself? So that's the biggest challenge now. You have all your printers.
Yeah.
How do you market yourself?
So at the beginning, it was pretty much everyone I knew were kind of forcefully told, do you want a 3D print? And then they were shown some products. And then what I did was, I realized just that word of mouth is not going to go that far. And also, I've heard this many times, they said, especially my father, he always says, you know, don't advertise first. First figure out how to use the machine, first figure out what you can offer, and then talk to people about it and take it like that. So try to promote word of mouth.
So your father has been a great mentor for you.
He has always been a great mentor, and
Right.
he's always pushing us. He comes to the office from time to time, and then when he goes home, he sends me comments back saying, I think you can improve this, and I think you can improve that.
So Nisanga, how did you give the required awareness and market yourself when you started off?
So from a marketing point of view, at the beginning, it was all about first understanding how the machinery worked, and then after that, just approaching all my friends and saying, this is what I can do. You know, is it interesting? And trying to gauge word of mouth before I even think of reaching, like a market reaching. And my father always says, first try to figure out what you're selling, understand the product, understand what you're really capable of, and only sell that. Don't try to oversell and get burnt. So he's been a great mentor, and he's always mentoring me. Right. So in terms of reaching to the market, first it was through word of mouth. Then we opened up a Facebook page, and at that time I thought that's the best way to reach out. And definitely as a startup platform, I think Facebook is the easiest, most cost-efficient way of reaching out to people. and we've got some interesting demographics or feedback from that, insights. And then after that, what happened was we started working on events. So once a month, we started doing an event at Jaik Hilton, and we got a little small meeting room there, and we started having presentations where people can walk in and they can create whatever they want, and they can print it there and there. So that was the idea, so that we can spread it. And that's how I met our CTO, because he walked in and he said, I'm here for a couple of months on holiday before I go back to university, and he wanted to, he's a designer anyway, and he said, I would like to fabricate and see what you guys are doing. And eventually that relationship kind of blossomed into him becoming a CTO, because he's so passionate about converting, and he was so passionate about the machinery and tech. And he actually pushed back his university second year and stayed back with me, and we developed this to a certain extent, going from our home to we went and set up at Oran City. We had Virtusa in a little small space, and that at that time.
So you moved from your home to
Oran City.
Right.
We went to Oran
What sort
City.
of space that was?
So Oran City space was about maybe 300 square feet. 300 square feet, and there were 7 machines. And pretty much just operating in those in that space. And we realized.
So you have spent already on capex. Now it's OPEX.
So now it's like an OPEX.
You have enough money to spend on that.
So we planned the funding that I planned was simply part capex and then part working capital for about 2 to 3 years.
2 to 3 years.
Yeah, so that I could come to a point where, because the OPEX of running this business is, I think, the value addition I'm trying to provide in by being very minimal but putting more money towards the machinery and the maintenance time, because I feel I don't have to depend from outside to get that technique, because I've now become so trained with the machines. So again, going back to the marketing aspect, so it went from Facebook to events, and now we work on our webpage itself with a lot of SEO, and also at the same time we do more Facebook promoted campaigns, and then we got onto Twitter and Instagram. So a lot of social media drive.
So tell us about the 3D Concept Studio itself. What sort of services you provide here?
So 3D Concept Studio offers 2D to 3D modeling services. Then we offer 3D printing, post finishing, post fabrication. So you can print something, you can get it colored or finished in a specific color if you want. At the same time, finish it with a different type of surfacing as well. And then at the same time, we offer laser cutting. So laser cutting, we offer fabric cutting, paper, cardboard, leather, wood, acrylics, even glass etching. So that's everything from a laser cutting point of view. And on top of that, we just provide like a product development to product design hub, where people can just walk in and they go through all these cycles and they just walk out with their product. So that's the entire point of 3D Concept Studio. And people walk in every day with like a new challenge.
So they basically come for any of these three.
Any of these three,
either design or 3D scanning or printing.
Correct. So what we always say is, like when people inquire, and we still get a whole heap of inquiries from Facebook. So we still keep that as a very good channel of communication. And most of the time we ask them, do you have a design? If you don't have a design, let us know so that we could design it for you. And at the same time, sometimes they know what they want as a final product, but they don't know the journey of how to get there. So we sit with them and we tell them, this is probably the best way to do that. A lot of molding companies are working with us on getting that prototype done so that they could save the cost of doing 3 or 4 molds before you come to the final product. So it's been very interesting, and that's a service that.
So every day is a very exciting.
Every day is an exciting day.
There's someone coming and doing a very innovative thing on one of your printers. So how do you make money here? What's your business model? So
one of the things about 3D printing is it's always broadcasted to the world as a very expensive thing. A lot of people come to us and they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this using 3D printing. I heard it's very expensive. So our business model revolves around very, very affordable material, which we've sourced from certain suppliers and got fixed contracts for those. So we negotiated good rates we normally get per kilo or per 2 kilo reels. So we buy it in bulk.
Right.
So when we get that material, we are able to offer rates which are attractive for Sri Lankans.
Right, okay.
The reason I say Sri Lankans is because we really need to understand that we operate in Sri Lanka, right? So the client base in Sri Lanka, the prices need to attract.
Right.
You know, it has to attract the budget.
So how did you come up with the costing model?
Correct. So there are existing platforms.
Right.
So e-commerce platforms such as Shapeways, Sculptio, and so many different type of websites.
Right.
So it was good that those websites were already up because we were able to gauge.
Right.
So we already know, okay, that's the benchmark. That's what these guys are offering. These are the pricing that they're offering. And they're offering 45 days lead time.
Right.
And the prices are so high, even with you add freight on top of it as well. So then I said, okay, if you're going to give a service, the product has to be on par. And secondly, we are going to give 3 days maximum turnaround.
Right.
So that's the challenge that we are always working with. So the pricing model works per CMQ.
Okay.
So everything in 3D printing world, the reason you can't say, just look at an object and say it's going to cost this much, is simply because when you print it, you need to put support structures, whether it's dissolvable or chip away. It still takes time to print that support.
Right.
And at the same time, it takes raw material to do it. So every design that we get, we run it using an estimator that we have, and that software calculates how much of CM cube is going to be taken to build this item.
So if I lose my pen here, stylus, you can print a stylus for me?
Yes, yeah, we can.
What is the rough cost? How do you arrive on this cost?
So this, so once we design it,
right.
Then
because I'm trying to compare and see whether it's cheaper to
yeah, so a stylus, roughly, something as simple as that.
Yes.
Would be printed on a 2D or curved edges, and it would probably take not too long to do it. So we're actually looking at less than 1,000 rupees for you to get a stylus printed.
Then it works.
It works. Yeah, so that's our.
So what's the typical price range for? What's the most expensive thing you have printed so far?
I would say it has gone up to about 40,000 rupees for a single item.
Okay.
Because it has taken over about 24 hours to print.
Right.
So it takes a long time to print. Plus, they wanted a very smooth finish, and they wanted a post finish as well, so like a gloss effect. Right. Those are all services that we offer. So altogether, that single item, for us, a costly aspect is about 40,000 rupees for one item. Right. Obviously, there have been customers who ordered multiple items for over 100,000 rupees, but for them it's worthwhile than going and trying to get them all done and then trying to get it done again.
So Nissanka, what sort of margins you keep in any of these?
Okay, so the way the business works, so we split our product lines into two, which is one is additive and one is subtractive. So in additive, it's 3D printing, and in subtractive, it's laser cutting. So if you look at the additive side, 3D printing, we have commercial rates, we have student rates, which is government university student rates. Then we have Sri Lanka Inventors Commission rates, and then we have like university, like the private university rates. So it's categorized into those categories.
So you have complete comprehensive price catalog.
Comprehensive price simply because our portfolio of machines are geared to cater to these different pricing strategies. Because you can't have one product and offer it to everybody because we want to give the best of all worlds.
Right.
So I'll just explain this. So let's say we take the student rate, we give at 25 rupees a centimeter cube.
Right.
Then we give
what sort of margin you have?
So for 25 rupees, we'll keep about 5 rupees.
5 rupees.
So what happens is the raw material and the machinery used for students is of a different grade altogether.
Right.
And the way we keep that cost minimal is there are machines that can do everything. So for example, movable parts, gloss finish, straight from the machine you can take. Now those we can't offer to the student because the machine and the raw material and everything that goes into that is really costly.
Okay.
So what we would do is, we have figured our own value addition as 3D Concept Studio to figure out how to do the same product but using different techniques. So we put more labor time, but we don't charge them for it to get the same look and feel. And that's how we maintain a good margin as well on the raw material consumption, but at the same time give a product which is satisfactory for the student as well and affordable. So whereas commercial rates are 100 rupees a centimeter cube,
right.
But again our margins are the same percentage, but because we use more complex machinery, more complex raw material.
So the margin is the same?
We are keeping the margins
roughly about 20%.
Yeah, 20 to 30% is the
range.
Yeah.
So basically by printing a stylus you will make 200 rupees.
Yeah, we would.
Okay.
So
Yes.
what we do is the portfolio of machines that we're using at the moment, we decide which machine is going to be suitable based on the pricing category plus based on the quality. So that's how the justification happens.
So are you sustaining your business
Yeah.
right now, or are you still losing money?
We
Or
are-
are you still using your
So what
initial capital?
So what we are doing right now is, right now, to be honest, we're losing money.
Right.
We're losing money because we are breaking even on the OPEX,
Yeah.
but on CAPEX repayment, we are not making that money. So that's the truth behind it, and we have to come to a point where we need to overcome that.
You have not leased out this machine, or you are outright bought?
Outright
Why didn't
bought.
you go for a leasing or a rather
So,
debt?
so that is the
Because
strategy.
these are machinery, so you can long-term finance these things
So-
as you grow the company.
Correct. So what we've done is, and this is the message I want to give out as well, is when you grow with a shareholdership or when you grow with a private equity investment, you can actually save on that survival mode. I feel like when you're aggressive, you need to go ahead and buy the machines that you really need.
Right.
But if you lease it out, you have to pay a monthly fee. Like you have to pay it, and therefore you make short-term decisions to just buy what is needed to pay that lease off.
Okay.
And then you make very short-term decisions on your marketing strategies, to your growth strategies, and things like that, and you don't have a good strategy in place for you to grow properly.
Right.
Whereas going with a private equity or shareholders in private investment, when the shareholders understand your growth strategy, they give you a certain grace period.
Right.
They say, here's the capex, but I need you to hit milestones, certain milestones, by this time.
Right.
Now, you're not making short-term choices. You're making good long-term choices for sustainable growth.
So what's the kind of milestone plan given for how many years? Is it
Correct.
2
So
years?
it's 3 years.
3 years.
And in 3 years, we have a certain cap that we need to reach per month.
Right.
So right now, we are at 60% of that.
Right.
We need to hit another 40% for us to be like, we're perfect now. I mean, then we can pay the capex off eventually over those period of years.
Right.
So that's where we are today. I mean, I know exactly where we are and where we need to go.
But you're growing.
We are growing, yeah.
What's the sort of compound growth rate so far?
So far, it's been about, on year, it's about 300%. Because
Impressive.
yeah, that can be explained simply because one is this, I'm very thankful for our private investment.
Right.
Because even from a place to the machinery to the tech that we're using in here is exactly what I could have wished for. This is what I wanted to buy. Every machinery that we bought came with a strategy. It's for this market, it's for this demographic, it's for this pricing range.
Right.
So everything is planned and purchased.
Who did this planning? Is you did it.
Yeah.
Okay. You did get the board and the mentors.
No, so the
involved.
boards, so the shareholders, all three of them,
Right.
they drill me on this.
Right.
Okay, but they know that I've done my research on this, and at the same time, I present it to them at the board meetings, and they approve it based on their feedback as well. And obviously, there's a give and take because I'm learning from industry leaders.
Right.
And they're telling me this is an angle you should look at. These are the demographics you should look at as well.
Right.
So I would not discount that.
Okay.
But what my message would be is that private investment allows you to make long-term decisions
Right.
than short-term ones, and I think that's really important. And these milestones, for me, I feel we will hit it within, let's say, 10 to 12 months, based on the growth that we're seeing.
Right. So when do you think you will be profitable?
I feel, so now 2015, we feel maybe later part of 2016 is what I'm thinking, worst case. Like that's the milestone that I've given with the buffer.
Right. How do you see the competition? I mean, I've recently seen in the US these 3D printing pens coming up, so the whole space is going to get consumerized. With all that happening, how do you see the future?
So what I see is, 3D printing movement is similar to PC movement as well, where they said, there's going to be a PC in every house. And I still believe very strongly that 3D printing will also become available at homes or in homes, in a different grade obviously. But what I feel here is we are not offering just 3D printing.
Right.
We are offering product development, product design, the entire service, and if they choose, they can choose parts of that service.
Right.
And what we can see
It's just the value addition.
correct.
So do you think that value addition bit will have a competitive advantage for your future?
Yes, because from what I see, I'm actually seeing customers walking in now who can easily afford a 3D printer. And even companies who walk to us and they say, or come and meet us and they say, I want this done even on a regular basis, but we don't really want to get into 3D printing or fabrication. So that gave me a signal that sometimes when you're really good at what you're doing, and if you can continue being as good as your last job, which is something what a friend of mine said, and also if you can show them that it's faster to do it through us, and plus we are the subject matter expert now for that conversion, eventually we will continue that demand.
And also I want to know, are we ready for bioprinting in Sri Lanka?
Yes, I think as you know, bioprinting has been something that everyone has their eye on. Sri Lanka is gradually getting to that stage.
What about the hospitals? Have they explored using bioprinting?
Not yet, but I know they're very keen.
Right.
So that's something that we are constantly in discussions with.
So are you talking to all the hospitals as well about offering this technology and giving your expertise with your background?
So what is happening there?
That's a complete different opportunity that will open up.
Yeah. So like I said at the beginning, how we were talking about different demographics and different product lines which you can offer. Medical is a pipeline that we're looking at with bioprinting.
Right.
So bioprinting, we are approaching 3 areas. So one is the research area, which is university medical research. One is pharmaceutical, and the second one is hospitals.
Right.
So right now we're in discussions with the first two, which is the research from the university point of view, and the second one, pharmaceutical companies. And we are showing, we've heard a lot of interest from that point, but not to the point of knowing exactly when we're going to place that order for that machine.
So Nisarga, what's your biggest motivation each day as you walk into this office? What's keep you going at 3D Concept Studio?
I'm always motivated by being able to create the next bigger thing or the next realistic thing. And I love it when we give something to a customer and they're like, I can't imagine you guys actually created this.
So you're truly happy that you left corporate and started on this?
I mean, I'm so happy. It's like I'm at peace. And most of the time my wife has to call me and say, when are you coming home? Are you always going to be stuck at office? And for me, I just love coming here because you feel like a crazy scientist. You can think of anything here. Like sometimes we have even as part of the printer sometimes that we feel like, actually it could be better, like a limit switch holder, let's say. And print it. Okay. So custom made and print it. So it's when you have the power to make whatever you want, that's itself is an ongoing inspiration to help another person out.
What percentage of your time is spent on actually spreading the word out there, and what percentage
So
is
right now I'm
operational
forced
stuff?
to split about 70-30 because we are on a growth plan, we are on targets, and I feel us growing so rapidly, I have to dedicate 70% of my time raising awareness, meeting big corporates who are going to use 3D printing in different kind of ways, and 30% here. And at the same time, I feel the 3D Concept Studio team is empowered and full on with the correct tech to understand how to take it to the next level.
How many people do you have
So
right now?
right now we have only 2 people
Right.
who are constantly working. One is a trainee architect and the other one is a jeweler by profession.
Right.
So imagine those 2 kind of experiences coming together to help convert.
How many you intend to recruit within this?
So my plan is our system goes on a machine to expert ratio. So right now we can be with 2 people for quite a long time because once the machine starts working, prints will go on for let's say 4 hours, 10 hours, 20 hours, and then that gives you plenty of time to do a lot of other things. So our model is resting at about 5 people, experts in different sectors. So that's our value addition as well.
Right.
Because when a person walks in, not only a conversion but a subject matter expert to help you, this is how to make the jewelry, or this is how to make the architectural model. And that's the kind of value addition that we want to kind of offer as well.
So as final thoughts, what's the kind of advice or sharing that you would like to do with the aspiring entrepreneur?
I think the answer to that is you have to be 100% committed, and if you're really passionate about it, if you're passionate about an idea, you got to chase it until you get it. So that entire phrase of "in it to win it" is probably one of the best phrases, because for me, I have not given myself a choice of failure. I don't even talk about failure. I don't even think about failure. I know I'm going to win. It's simply because I know how much time I'm putting into this. And I tell my wife, I tell my friends, I tell my parents, the time that we spend here is all part of a plan.
Right.
And I would say, commit yourself, or I would say find your passion, commit yourself and chase it.
So here's a man who has started a company in his mid-20s and turning around 3D printing into another new level. Thank you very much, Nisanga, for joining this program. That concludes another edition of Startup Parable. Stay tuned for another interesting story coming your way soon.